Special guest today, Danielle David with United Hatzalah of Israel. Welcome and thank you for being here. And we're going to explain to people what that is. And Levi Myer, among other things, is a philanthropist.
You've seen me here, you know me.
Yes. So let's do an overview of what United Hatzalah does for people across the country and across in Israel.
So United Hatzalah is a network of 7,000 medics, and they respond to emergencies in under 3 minutes, sometimes in 90 seconds in areas like cities like Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, to save lives and stabilize patients, to help people before the ambulance arrives.
And in Miami Beach, but in South Florida, you also have those activities going on. Explain where that's most likely to happen.
They have Hatzalah in Miami as well, I believe in Bell Harbor, Miami Beach, and the Aventura area. In Israel, it's a volunteer network. It's the largest EMS volunteer network in Israel.
So in Miami,
I would almost argue it's the largest in the world. Is there another place
Probably.
where it's, yeah.
Most people don't understand this is a private organization versus a business. When you call 911, you're going to get either the fire department or you're going to get a ambulance that's going to count, which is a private business. So these are volunteers, 7,000 volunteers, and they go and they get beeped or called, all right? There's an emergency around the corner. What vehicles do they use?
So the founder of the organization, an incredible man by the name of Levi, started this when he was 15 years old. And he came up with this idea, it's called an ambucycle. And the idea came up because he realized that when there was an emergency, the pizza delivery people were arriving faster than the ambulances because of traffic. They couldn't get through. So he came up with this idea of an ambucycle, which basically is a motorcycle with a trained volunteer medic on it. And it has everything an ambulance has except for the mattress. And so a volunteer can arrive on these, it can bypass traffic and get to somebody in very short time spans. So oftentimes it's in seconds, or if not in minutes. And those are ambucycles.
And how old did she say the gentleman that created this was?
Ellie Beer, how old's Ellie Beer?
Now he's 50, but he started when he was 15 years old.
13, 14, 15.
15 when he started.
So Levi, what's your involvement in this?
So my involvement in United Hatzalah started about 2 years ago, I think, when Danielle actually came to speak here and we interviewed her about United Hatzalah. And you know, my first mission was to be able to try to fund one of these ambucycles, which costs $36,000 to purchase it, to equip it the way you need it to be, and to fund it for a period of, I think, 3 years. And in doing so, you donate one of those. They put a plaque with your name on it. You get a report of all the activity that it saves, or maybe that's a different program. But the idea is that you contribute one of those. And my idea was to do it not necessarily just on my own, but through a community involvement. So we started hosting local events and fundraising for this ambucycle. I came to know United Hatzalah and love the work that they do, particularly their method of being completely disregard who this person is that they're saving, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Christian, whether you're atheist, whether you're a good person or a bad person. They simply go to save lives anywhere that they can in the state of Israel. And I thought that's really important for me. So slowly through involvement, I've become now a board member with United Hatzalah. And I have several different efforts now in the emergency campaign. I kind of rallied what do we call it, like our own fundraising campaign within the larger campaign to raise $150,000 towards the emergency campaign for Israel that we'll tell you more about now. That campaign is currently up to almost $59,000. And so obviously we'll share that link as well with everybody. But that's my current involvement.
Okay, let's talk about what's going on in Israel as far as what the organization is doing.
For sure. And to Levi's point about volunteers working together, it's really incredible. And one of our board members and supporters, Adele Sandberg, she calls United Hatzalah the roadmap to world peace. And that's because we have Muslims saving Jews, Jews saving Muslims, and really bridging the divide from the bottom up. And actually, Levi, who I mentioned, was nominated several times for a Nobel Peace Prize because we have out of our 7,000 medics, 700 of them are Muslims. And So going to October 7th, it was a tragic day in Israel, the worst day we can imagine. I've heard people say that it was a day of the Holocaust, and people were brutally massacred. And United Hatzalah has 2 medics who were kidnapped and 2 medics who were killed, 2 volunteers, and several that were injured. But
many of them just trying to do their jobs.
Right.
Going into a war zone, they asked, "Is it okay? Is it safe to go at your own will?" And they all went.
So it was actually the first day that Ali Beer and his whole family are volunteers along with everyone else. And his wife, Gitti, was speechless for the first time because we had a call that day. Our volunteers right away, when they figured out what was happening, they started setting up and getting supplies down to the southern area and responding. And it was horrific. A lot of, some of those volunteers right now are hospitalized for trauma, dealing with a lot of emotional issues because of what they saw. It was just beyond words. Eli and his wife were down there the whole day, as well as many of our volunteers, treating people, getting, there was a story of someone who was in a car and the car was on fire, and Eli's wife, Gitti, took that body out of the car, even though she knew it was dead, and risked her life to do it, even though she knew the person had died, because to be able to identify the body. But our volunteers mobilized as fast as they could. Our supporters got on board, and we just had equipment taken down there to help as many injured people we could and save as many lives as we could on that day.
So, Levi, we have a video. Are we ready for that?
Well, before we get to the video, I just want to also say that when on a normal day, the United Hatzalah call center, the center which is a highly sophisticated technology that they use, similar to that of like what Uber uses to determine the closest driver to you and the algorithms for who's going to get there first. If a call comes in, it's answered within 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Within 3 seconds, it's immediately dispatched. Their goal is to get, in most places in Israel, to the person within 3 minutes. So on any given day, they're inundated with phone calls. They're the second largest emergency medical service in the state of Israel. When this started, they started getting phone calls they thought immediately were pranks. They couldn't believe the stuff they were hearing, and the phone kept ringing and ringing and ringing. And it got to a point where they realized there was something astronomical going on in the state of Israel, and they couldn't get supplies back down there fast enough. There were roadblocks. Immediately upon that happening, Eli Beer made the executive decision to send trucks to the warehouse where they keep their backstock or their emergency supply, which they anticipate being a 1-year backstock of supply, and loading into trucks and sending it down to the front lines where they're laying out defibrillators, laying out medic bags. People are going in their personal vehicles, taking injured people, bloody messes, into their own vehicles and driving them to hospitals. They mobilize their helicopter unit, which now they're obviously larger than just the ambucycles, but flying helicopters in and out of this war zone, and it was really unbelievable. But in that effort to send us as much supplies as they can, they did go through an entire year's worth of supplies in just day one, by October 8th. They completely drained the backstop, the entire supply. So we do have a little video that I think will show you a lot about what United Hatzalah does and the emergency campaign that they're running now.
When Hamas's attack upended thousands of lives, it was Sabbath. It was also an important Jewish religious holiday, Simchas Torah. Israel's emergency medical teams had to spring into action. Israel's volunteer EMS organization, United Hatzalah, sent 100 rescue vehicles, ambulances, and mobile intensive care units south, along with armored vests and helmets.
Nothing has prepared us for an attack on this scale. The people that we're treating are our neighbors from our communities. Many of the people injured amongst them are volunteers. Some of the people who were taken hostage into Gaza are our volunteers.
On the front lines, including United Hatzalah, Israel's largest nonprofit emergency medical service.
We need to buy more special monitors. We need to buy more ambulances. We need to buy more of these armed vehicles, which I never thought United Hatzalah, which is a volunteer organization, is going to have to go rescue and save people with armed vehicles.
Volunteer groups are stepping up their efforts on the ground.
In the first 24 hours, we were able to mobilise to the area 1,700 volunteers, opened a field hospital and an improvised landing strip. Really apocalyptic scenes. I saw myself, piles of bodies on the side of the road.
Initially, I spoke with one person that was there. The family was trapped in a safe room. And they basically, the father had his hands and legs blown off. We're trapped, and I was able to hear rapid gunfire behind them. And they were trying to say that he was losing consciousness and they needed some help to evacuate.
Treating people that are in critical condition is intubating them, doing chest decompressions the whole time. When I met 2 kids that just were held hostage, after that they said to me, I saw my parents get killed in front of me. I'm hungry, I haven't eaten in the last 12 hours.
The ambulances have been shot at. We've had 2 volunteers already killed, unfortunately, and another few injured, and 2 of them are missing. We're not sure what's happened to them. They may have been kidnapped as well.
The toughest 4 days in my experience of over 35 years in EMS. We saw the heroism come out from volunteers, working under fire, bullets flying over their heads, missiles exploding, and pulling out people, saving lives, doing medical procedures under impossible conditions.
Seeing things that I can never unsee. I've treated injuries that I wish I never have to see again. I've transported bodies in the shape that I don't want to ever have to do such things again.
United Hatzalah has been inundated with calls for help. Nearly 90% of their supplies was depleted within the first 2 days.
One after another, severely injured, gunshot wounds, severely injured.
Suddenly I had a soldier from the Special Forces. He came out with 2 babies in his hand, and he gave it over to me, one of the babies, and the other baby for my colleague. The babies were just screaming, they were dehydrated. And when he gave me over the baby caught on so hard to me. He felt he was in safe hands. It was so emotional. It's an expression you can't even express.
Again, this is non-denominational. We're treating Jews, Muslims, Christians, everyone in Israel who needs it. And we have volunteers from all of those denominations as well. And we're really working to try and save lives.
Go to IsraelRescue.org to support the good men and women there. Ellie, thanks so much for joining the program.
Thank you so much. God bless all of you for supporting us.
You too, brother.
The President of the United States came here to Israel to support this country. You uplifted the whole spirit in this country.
הרמת את הרוח של כל המדינה הזו, אומר לו נשיא איחוד הצלה, שרבים ממתנדביו נפגעו וסייעו בהצלת הפצועים.
Wow. It's a lot. So, Andres, can we put their website address across the bottom? So, tell us about, how you got involved in this and why.
So I got involved in United Hatzalah years ago. I've been working with them for 8 years now. And it happened, I have a master's degree from NYU in the nonprofit world, and I was looking for something really meaningful. And I met the current VP, Michael Brown, and he told me about United Hatzalah and what they do. And I loved the cause. I thought it was incredible, both from a fact that these are heroic volunteers that drop everything just to save lives. And the supporters are supporting heroes, angels. We call them angels in orange. And so that was something that was very meaningful to me. And then there was the other side of it, which was the diversity, the religions coming together, Muslims, Jews, Christians, Bedouin, Druze, everyone coming together to save lives, to help each other, and to do this incredible life-saving work. So I got involved 9 years ago, and it's been very meaningful. And you saw that video that we just played, and people are heartbroken now, including myself. And this is for those who are feeling helpless and don't know how to help. This is the best way to help. This is just saving lives, helping the injured, and it's going to get worse. Sadly, it's going to get worse. And we're trying to gather as many supplies as we can.
So what could somebody do that can't go and do that, but what can they do to help in this cause? And by the way, is that the correct website address? Is that good? Or you want a different one?
Yes, israelrescue.org/donate.
Right.
What can they do? They can donate anything from EpiPens, which we desperately need, to defibrillators, to we have a medic bag that's $5,000 that has all the medical supplies needed to help save a life, oxygen, everything you can imagine. We need vehicles. We have all-terrain SUV vehicles that are needed. We've actually converted some ambulances to these vehicles because we just had some ambulances that had missiles destroy them. And so we need more ambulances as well. We have ICU ambulances that are $225,000. We have armored ambulances. We are looking to get helicopters. I mean, anything, from medical supplies to vehicles. That's what we need right now to continue saving lives.
And Levi, tell us about, if you can, what kind of training these first responders get.
So I believe Danielle could probably speak better to that than myself, but I believe that everybody is at base level.
It's a 6-month EMS training course that they all take to get certified as an EMT. And then some continue on to become a paramedic. And we even have doctors. We have doctors, but we also have lawyers.
United Hatzalah actually implemented a psychotrauma unit as well, which they know that when they arrive to certain scenes, and taking the incidents of October 7th out of this, sometimes they just get a call to go to a home where a child is drowned in the pool. They know upon arrival of that scenario, it's not just the resuscitation of the child, if that's possible. But it's also in dealing with the traumatic experiences of the family members and the people around them. So they have, it's really an organization that's expanding to really change the way that people think about emergency medical services.
So we know in Miami-Dade County, perhaps some other areas, when there's a call that goes out for other than the immediate police work, somebody who's trained, whether it's a social worker, somebody to deal with those type of things, and including the police are learning how to deal with those type of things. But tell us about the first responders that are now as traumatized or more than as the people that have been in the war, as far as them being beat up and traumatized. What kind of help can they get?
So we have a psychotrauma unit, like Levi mentioned, and it's volunteers who are trained to respond in these traumatic circumstances. So they help with psychological and emotional help.
And what about the providers?
So we have medics. I think we have, we have some people that go on to need, like in this situation, because of the extent of what happened, some people, it's not enough just to have the psychotrauma unit. They go on and they get additional care. I mean, like I mentioned, we have a volunteer who's hospitalized right now because of this. But the basic need is they get to the emergency, and for the people who are traumatized, or not just in this situation, even prior to this, they respond with psychological and emotional support.
We saw one of the volunteers talk about his trauma and dealing with bodies of all sorts of trauma to them. If somebody is feeling that now, they don't necessarily have to have been there, but just the exposure to it and seeing it and the emotional response that's inside. Can they call your organization and say, hey, listen, I don't need that help, but I need somebody to listen to me and somebody to talk to who's been around this?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think the mission and the goal of United Hatzalah is to stabilize and save lives immediately, but they're there for so many other services. There's so many stories where United Hatzalah volunteers have arrived to a home to help with a slip and fall, or with heart attacks or other such medical conditions, and then have come back later to visit just to deliver food and keep someone company, because this is the nature of these people. These are not paid employees. These are volunteers. So if they see it so fit to go back and spend some time with an elderly person who has nobody else to talk to or needs a meal, these are the human beings that are involved with United Hatzalah, and this is how they operate. There is no, nobody's clocked in or clocked out. It's not a for-profit organization. It's completely volunteer, and it's not. And quite frankly, it's very expensive to run. These equipment, the supplies, the technology, the real estate aspect of owning and operating the warehouses, the logistics that are involved here, the security for the buildings and the locations and the personnel. It's a very large operation, one of the largest operations with a.
So, right, it's the only free EMS in Israel. And these volunteers don't get paid at all. And oftentimes they pay their own way. So if they ride on one of these ambucycles, they're paying their own gas. They're not getting, that paid for.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to double down on. What we're talking about here is you call in America, pick a country, pick a state, pick a city. You call and you get an ambulance ride to a hospital. Yes, you're going to get your life will be saved, but you're getting a bill, a very large bill. And hopefully you have the health insurance to cover it. With United Hatzalah, there's no bill. Nobody sends an invoice. It is 100% free.
So there's parts of the country that high population, Jewish population. As the kids are growing up, they don't dial 911.
Our number is 1221, and so they dial 1221, or they'll dial 911. Their ambulance. There's many ambulance companies in Israel, not just one. So, or they'll dial that, but Hatzalah gets those calls and they respond in under 3 minutes, stabilize the patient, and then the ambulance will transfer if they need to be transferred.
So Hatzalah was invented, created, started 2005, 2006. Mm-hmm. So in a relatively short period of time, it's become internationally recognized.
Right.
And so there are countries around the world that know this is happening, that this organization is taking care of people no matter what they look like, which is really sort of incredible.
And it's my hope to see this expanded, either under the branch or name of United Hatzalah or otherwise. When you think about it, to think that we live in a country so free and to be able to call an emergency medical service and not just wait for an ambulance, which depending on where you live might be 1 or 2 minutes, might be 10 or 15 or 20 minutes, but to have a medic show up on a motorcycle inside of 3 minutes to stabilize you before taking you to the hospital, or in some cases just to alleviate the critical need for other resources, right? Like sometimes you don't need an ambulance with 5 medics to show up at your house. You just need a paramedic to come and stabilize you or determine whether or not that needs to be escalated to the necessity of an ambulance. And that's a huge advantage, added bonus to the services that United Hatzalah provides. And I think it could be replicated everywhere. It's amazing to me that we have Uber and Lyft and we don't have United Hatzalah.
So to go to your point about the volunteers, I mean, these volunteers go above and beyond. So there were many instances where we deliver a lot of babies at United Hatzalah. And so the volunteers will deliver the baby, let's say if a mother gives birth at home, and these volunteers will stay behind and clean up the whole, home while the mother's in the hospital, or they'll stay and babysit kids if the parents have to go to the hospital, or they'll go to, sometimes there's Holocaust survivors who have been left, or elderly who have been left and are very poor, terrible conditions, and volunteers go to their homes and clean up and help stock their refrigerators, and they go above and beyond.
So I wonder,
unbelievable.
What hasn't been created yet? What hasn't been invented yet by some 15-year-old out there that's going to go, hey, I could have had a V8 and create something so that in 5-10 years, wow.
Right.
So what is that thing that hasn't been created yet?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't have the vision of Eli Beer. But
He'll know.
But I know that it exists now. And what I could tell you is the need for it is growing, and with the situation on the ground in Israel being relatively in early stages at the moment, there's a potential of escalation. There's potential of sending ground troops into Gaza, and to completely remain apolitical and on no side of this coin here. The need in Israel is going to be very strong as this progresses and if it escalates. And so this is in very many ways, this is a call to action for people that are sitting on the sidelines, that are curious how they can help, that don't know what to do. This is an organization that you can feel good about giving to for saving lives. It doesn't choose a side of the coin. United Hatzalah does not operate inside of Gaza. It operates inside of Israel, but inside of Israel, where it is a Jewish state, where 1 in 5 people living in Israel are Muslim, where 10% of the 7,000 volunteers at United Hatzalah are Muslim, you can give safely knowing that your money goes to saving lives. And the emergency campaign United Hatzalah is running right now is immediately to replenish back stock, to order more very necessary immediate supplies that they need, armored vehicles to go into essentially war zones in the south or potentially in the north in the near future. These are very, very real needs. And there's a lot of volunteers. There are a lot of active people through the organization that have the capability of giving 100,000, 250,000, in some cases many millions. We met somebody last night who was able to give over $1 million donated. But if you're sitting there and you don't have $1 million and you just have 100 or you have 200, now is the time to dig deeper and to really make a difference. I said we launched our own campaign to try to raise $150,000 through my colleagues at Compass around the country. There's 36,000 Compass agents, and I happen to know a lot of them. So we rallied an initial wave. In a very short period of time, we were able to get to $59,000, and it wasn't because somebody donated $50,000 and the rest came up with $9. A lot of it was done in very small donations, and over 200 people donated to get to the $59,000 we're at right now.
Many people, to your point, said during the Holocaust, I wish I had done more. I wish I could have done more. I wish we had organized ourselves better. United Hatzalah is organizing itself. United Hatzalah is saving lives, and now's the time for people to do more. And no one will ever regret giving to this cause.
So we have a few minutes left, but I would like you to, if you don't mind, share with us, and by name if you like, a mentor or mentors that you've had and what it meant to you to have them.
So I have several
Look right in the
supporters of United Hatzalah. I mentioned Adele Sandberg earlier. I mentioned, I'll mention Lynn Light, who's I met her this morning. Erica Gerson, who you met last night. Amazing. She's a board member, and she and her husband are the largest supporters. Mark Gerson, he's the chairman, and they're the largest supporters of United Hatzalah. And various people that I've watched, and I have to say, in this dark moment, the light for me is seeing these supporters rally together and do more and do as much as they can. And it's not just, older people. Kids are giving their bar mitzvah money to this, or their bat mitzvah money. Kids are doing lemonade. I saw someone yesterday doing a lemonade stand to raise money for this. But I'm just in awe of the support that we've been receiving and how people are just getting together to do everything they can do.
And you're next. But can we put the website address up again, Andres? You're on.
And I encourage, again, the website address is right at the bottom of the screen. We all know that good intentions are there, and we feel great about giving to an organization or helping. And then the next slide on your screen comes up, and you're off to the next activity or the next task, and it's quick to forget. And so I encourage you, if you're watching this now, make that donation, dig deep, do more, and you will never regret having not done enough.
It's terrific.
And I wanted to just say also, giving is easy, even if whether it's $200, $2,000, some people can give $2 million. What the volunteers are doing on the ground, saving lives and helping the injured and the trauma that they're enduring, that's hard. And they are going through a great ordeal right now, but they're doing everything they can. They're leaving their kids behind, often for days, sometimes for weeks, just to do this and to help others. And that's the hard work, and that's the heroic work. For us here, the easy work is donating. And so I just encourage everyone to do whatever they can do to help.
Danielle, David, thank you very much. Levi, Myer, thank you for being here and for your continued support of many, many causes. Folks, thank you for joining us. And please donate if you can. The web address is right up there on the screen now. And remember, take care of yourselves and your family. Have a